Lost Art with Andrew Cox podcast, Marine Corps League and Till Valhalla Project Ambassador. Now streaming on all major podcast platforms. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast as giving a voice to our veterans. The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Podcast. That podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I'm your host, Andrew Cox, and today we're going to have a little discussion about youth physical fitness. I'm excited about it, so you need to know about it as well. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? And make sure you go to the website. That's thelostart.podbean.com. Go check us out, see what we're all about. There's a couple ways you can help support us. You go to that website. You can do a one-time donation. You can go in and become a patron with a monthly donation. You can always go get you some cool merchandise, or if you have a business and you want to advertise, you can also do that right here on the podcast. A big shout out to Till Valhalla Project. We need to make sure we're supporting them as best we can, so make sure you go check them out, see what they're all about. That's tillvalhallaproject.com. Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member. All right, we're back here. I got Christian here. Christian, how you doing?
Highly motivated.
Oh, highly motivated. I love it. I saw you down earlier, and you seem motivated down there. So it's a good thing. And you have to be motivated when you're talking about physical fitness.
Roger.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you got going on.
Okay. So I'm on the board of the U.S. Marines Youth Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
We raise money to pay for the Marine Corps League's youth physical fitness program. It has a very long history with the Marine Corps League. So it was started by a recruiter named Master Sergeant Bill Lohan in 1957 in the New York City area.
Okay.
And the idea was that he and his lieutenant colonel were leveraging the Marine Corps' well-earned reputation as fitness experts to get recruiters into high schools.
Right. Yeah.
And so what they did is they started fitness clubs in these schools, kind of like recruiters have poolies now.
Right. Yeah, that
Of course,
makes sense.
recruiters now don't get credit for a Marine until he graduates boot camp.
Right.
So they have pools, and then they evaluate their poolies, and they don't want to waste their 1 or 2 quarters a month to go to boot camp unless it's someone who's fit enough to go.
Right.
And so they go, you're fat, you're going later.
Yeah,
I'm going to send this guy because I think he'll graduate.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So they were a precursor to that, if you will. And so they held meets. So they got the high schools to form fitness clubs, and they were targeting the 87% of kids who never get involved in varsity athletics.
Okay.
And so today it would be a matter of getting the kids out from behind their, phone or the computer and just get them off the couch to do something physical. Because today, 70% of American youth in the ages that are eligible for military service, 70% can't qualify because they're obese or they're too out of shape.
I didn't realize it was 70%. That's a high number.
It's a very high number.
Yeah.
And we were even more fit back then, but what they were doing was starting fitness clubs with the average young American in school, in high school specifically. And so they held regional meets in 58, 59. And then in 1960, a man I later worked for when I got out of the Marine Corps, a retired Major General by the name of Walter Churchill, he was the Commandant of the Marine Corps League in 1960 and 61.
Okay.
So what he did was he pulled with the Young Marine Program and the YPF, the Physical Fitness Program, into the Marine Corps League, made them official Marine Corps League programs. Nice. So the Marine Corps League has held a national high school fitness competition every single year since 1960, except for 2 COVID years.
Wow.
Every single year.
That's incredible.
So it's a tradition we want to keep going. So the foundation, which I've been on for 36 years, we
Right.
raise the money to buy the medals and the plaques for
Right.
the awards banquet, pay the expenses of holding the national and regional fitness meets.
Oh, wow.
So we're trying to make up for lost time because we lost a lot of momentum during COVID. The
Right.
kids didn't go to school, let alone not do physical exercise-related things. And so now we are very fortunate, the Marine Corps League, to have a retired Lieutenant Colonel Sean Patton. He's a JAG officer and very, very fit, very into martial arts and athletics, young kids doing that too, loves working with kids. So he is now the Marine Corps League's national YPF coordinator.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, he's from Arkansas? Is that
He
correct?
is from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
From
Okay, I'm
Allentown,
thinking of somebody
Pennsylvania.
else. Okay.
So he has, out of 10 divisions, he has 9, soon we'll have 10 YPF coordinators at each division, which represent 3 to 5, 6 states, all across the United States for the Marine Corps League. And so those YPF coordinators are trying to get back to having each department, which is generally a state, with their own YPF coordinator. And then once they get to that level, the division, they need to organize regional meets again, like we used to have 10, 20, 30 years ago. And then the departments need to have a department level meet. And then they need to get their detachments to recruit volunteers, raise money, give us money to help pay for this, to hold, to recruit schools, to go talk to a principal, go talk to an athletic director, a coach, and get him to form a fitness club, target the 87% and never get involved in varsity athletics. Just get them to do 5 exercises all year. Grade them in the end of the year. If they pass the results in all 5 events, then you give them a certificate. And then you can do this in grade school, middle school, high school. But high school is where the recruiters want to get involved. High school is where the competition is involved. So the coach that's successful at this will have tape his top 6 boys, top 6 girls, send them to state meet, send them to regional meet, and then to the national meet. So we have. Will this still work?
It's still working. We may have to stop it for just a second, but let's pause. Yeah, let's pause real quick. All right, we're back.
So each high school, generally the coach at the end of the year will take his top 6 boys and top 6 girls, and they will go to the state meet, to the regional meet, to the national meet. And there may not be a local, there may not be a state meet, may not be a regional meet, but then they also have pilot teams. And so you have to understand the history behind this. So Pennsylvania used to have 2 regional meets just in the state of Pennsylvania, Western and an Eastern. We have coaches like Bob Martini from Penn Hills near Pittsburgh, and he competed as a student and then came back after he became an architect and was an engineer and all that. He started coaching teams. He wasn't even in the school system, wasn't even a teacher. And he has brought competition teams to the national meet for over 42 years.
Wow. That's impressive.
Lou Schlanger from South Bronx, he's not even, and neither is Bob Martini, they're not even Marines. You know, they just like kids, and this is a free program. Kind of like the President's Council on Physical Fitness. But everyone stopped using that because you had to buy the materials. So we raise the money and do it for free. So Lou Schlanger has brought teams for over 41 years to the national meet, again, except for 2 COVID years. And so you have to understand the kind of far-reaching impact that this has. So Lou Schlanger is in poor areas, poverty, crime, drugs, violence, and he's trying to provide his kids with a motivation to just not go to jail and not waste their life. And so this gets them on the right path, gets them healthy, gets them motivated, and also presents the Marine Corps in a positive light. So to give you an example, he had a young man named Joe Mundo. So Joe placed his junior year and senior year. He won all around, highest score male at the national meet.
Okay.
Within a couple of years, he enlisted in the Marine Corps. He retired after 22 years, was a career recruiter, put over 2,000 Marines into the Marine Corps.
Wow.
And then he got out of the Marine Corps, retired, went back to South Bronx, has a job, and he coaches kids to send to the national meet.
Very cool.
So the successful clubs will fundraise all year.
Mm-hmm.
And the wealthy schools, they have a senior trip, the kids go to Rome or Paris or London.
Right, yeah.
But in average schools and poor schools, what they'll do is they'll have something like this. So you'll have a boys team, a girls team, and then 2 or 3 pilot teams. So the ones didn't make the cut to compete. And the pilot teams are run through before the meet itself because the coaches are not allowed on the field. So they do is run the pilot teams through, and these kids who didn't quite make it, generally sophomores and juniors, get the experience of competing without being on the hook, you see. And then the coaches are allowed on the field to criticize the graders, who are usually active duty Marines, and say, I don't like how you graded pull-ups, or I don't like how you explain push-ups. You need to emphasize this, because during the meet, they're on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Okay. So
it's their kind of opportunity to see how they're grading.
Because they help with the fundraising,
right?
They get to go on the trip. So Lou this year brought his team to Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay.
But when the meet was done, they flew to Miami for 5 days.
Oh, nice. Home. Yeah.
When we held the meets at MCRD San Diego, so it's good for the kids because they can stay in the barracks, save money.
Right.
But while they're there, they get to see Hollywood and Disneyland and La Jolla Beach.
Right.
And, we've held them at 8th and I, at Quantico. And they could see DC and Kings Dominion's 30 miles south. And we've held them at Fort Indian Hound Gap, Pennsylvania, and Hershey Park is right up the road. So it's an excuse for them to go do something fun as a senior trip, you see, when they get to compete. So 6 boys, 6 girls, you can compete with 5, but normally there's 6-person teams because you drop the low score and only 5 count. So you can still compete with 5, but generally it's a 6-person team.
Okay.
And the kids, you should see these kids. Non-varsity athletes are incredibly fit.
Yeah.
And the point is to make them better citizens, better people, more capable of producing in society, to expose them to the military in a positive light, especially the Marine Corps. And every once in a while you get a Joe Mundo who put 2,000 Marines in the Marine Corps go back and coach more kids. We have Coach John Como from Bethpage in middle of Long Island, been bringing teams for over 20 years.
Wow.
On our board, we have Dr. John Pfeiffer. He's from Parkland High School system in Allentown, Pennsylvania. 20 years of bringing teams to the national meet. So there's a long history. Now most of our teams are Marine Corps Junior ROTC. Of course, for 7 or 8 years, they were paying full travel allowances for the kids, the coach, chaperone to come. So they'd stay in hotels. They wouldn't even stay on base.
Right.
But TCOM cut that funding this year. So we raised extra money to help subsidize the travel so that they would make sure they could still compete and still hold a competition.
Right.
So after a couple COVID years, kids weren't going to school, weren't working out. So we're trying to make up for lost time. We're trying to reinstitute it. I used to be in a detachment in Toledo, Ohio. That's where General Churchill had his range of stores, and he put me on the board. I became a Marine Corps League member.
Right.
Well, my detachment, our job was grade pull-ups. We go down to Columbus every year, grade pull-ups.
Okay.
And so those, and you have to understand, Ohio held a meet every year from 1960 to 2005.
Wow.
And Michigan from 1916 till the mid-90s. And theirs was even bigger than Ohio's. Our meet, when I was grading it, 95 teams from 55 schools, got them all done in one morning, awards at 2, get on a school bus, go back home.
Wow. That's
massive.
impressive.
A lot of kids were touched by this and improved and brought out of their shell and exposed to the military and fitness.
Right.
And Michigan and Ohio used to be the 2 biggest state meets in the country, and now they don't hold state meets. And part of the reason is the guys that did it, Ray Burling, former National Commandant, Ron Kiesling, former National Commandant, and his brother Chuck, they loved doing it. They did it for half a century. Then they got old and died.
Yeah.
And so they
So
didn't
who's gonna
train
take
young
over?
people.
Yeah.
And it's good for our league too, because when I was in the Diamond Detachment, I noticed that we attracted and kept 20s, 30s, 40s age Marines into Marine Corps League because they love being involved with kids, love fitness.
Oh, yeah.
And we had fat Marine Corps leaguers, but mostly they were chosen reservoir survivors full of shrapnel.
Yeah.
You got to cut them some slack.
Right.
But the young kids, the Marine Corps leaguers, they love doing this. I think it's the solution to the Marine Corps League. All veterans groups are dying because they don't get the young kids coming in.
Very true.
This is a great way to interest, get, and keep the 20, 30, 40-year-old Marines, and they can have a great impact on the kids that they're involved in the program. So anyway,
incredible.
I appreciate you giving me this venue to try and get the word out that we need, down at the detachment level, we need you to approach your athletic directors, your coaches, your principals at grade school, middle school, high school level.
Okay.
The impact is huge. The state of Hawaii had 2 Marine Corps leaguers on their state board of education. So for a couple decades, they mandated YPF for every grade school, middle school, and high school
Wow.
in the whole Hawaii's public education system.
Yeah.
So for a couple decades, they sent teams to national meet. For 7 straight years, they won girls and boys every single year.
Wow.
Every single year.
And that was because of the mandate that they had, and they had a longevity in
when those
training
guys
for it.
retired,
Yeah.
they just stopped because they
Wow.
weren't there anymore.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of that gets us into the system. And just think, tens of thousands of kids affected in that decade or two they were doing that Hawaii.
Right.
Now they don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay. We've been holding the national meet in Little Rock, Arkansas for 5 years because of a personality. Sergeant Major Randall Jernigan was the NCOIC of the Marine Corps Junior RTC Detachment at Catholic Boys High School.
Okay.
And they won the meet every year for 10 years.
Yeah.
So we would just go hold a meet there because they were so good. They had a great facility, that kind of thing. So we're trying to rebuild. So we need the detachments. Go to your schools and get them to start fitness clubs.
Right.
Get them, getting kids working out all year, test them at the end of the year. Get high schools raising money in their fitness club to go to these meets. Get the detachments to produce volunteers and fundraise for us, for the Youth Foundation. And then get the departments to start state meets. Get the divisions to start regional meets again, like we used to have them. And it doesn't have to be that hard. If you're on a department staff and you want to hold a meet, well, the Young Marines has a regiment for each state.
Right.
So they got 10 or 20 units throughout your state right now. And most of them are using YPF.
Yeah.
Or you can easily get them to do it.
Right. Yeah.
And there's volunteers you can get to help you run the meet. Marine Corps Junior RTC, they're in 2 to 10 schools in your state right now.
Right.
They are encouraged to use YPF. If they say, oh, well, we're going to hold a meet, it's competition, we can win this. And it doesn't have to just be Marine Corps Junior RTC, Army Junior RTC, Navy Junior RTC, Coast Guard, Sky Cadets, or whatever.
I mean, really, you're looking for all. You want to try to affect all
as many people as possible.
That
Like Young
sense.
Marines, only 17% are sponsored by Marine Corps League detachments.
Right.
Most of them are a church, a Christian school, the VFW, the American Legion.
Right.
A group of parents, a PTA,
Right.
Gets a Young Marine detachment going. But there is a pool of Marine Corps related veteran organization already in every single state. That's a great starting point to get it going again.
Yeah.
And then,
absolutely.
help us raise the money. We buy the medals and the plaques and hold the awards banquets, and we'll do it for regional meets as well as we do for the national meet.
Very cool.
Does all that make sense?
It absolutely does.
Okay.
So I guess a couple questions.
Yeah.
If somebody's out there, they're in a detachment, even if they're not in a detachment, and they see this and they're like, oh, that's a really good program.
Yeah.
How do they get involved?
So U.S. Marines Youth Foundation.org is our website.
Okay.
And you can go to the Marine Corps League website, go to youth programs, and YPF's the first one listed.
Okay.
And Sean Patton runs that part of the website. And so you'll have all the instructions. There's a manual there. There's grading sheets there, and there and on our website is the donate here button.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy to get information. Besides which, within the older Marine Corps League members, you'll find people that have been involved in this and know how to do it.
Right. Okay. Now, is there anything else that anybody needs to know as they're jumping into this or looking at trying to do it? Like, as far as like any school system, basically,
Yes.
right? Any school,
yes,
private, public,
That's
doesn't
correct.
matter.
That's correct.
Okay.
And Young Marine Unit can do it.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a school. Now, typically it's a high school that has the size to be able to send 6 boys and 6 girls to a competition. But it doesn't have to be. And it doesn't have to, like I said, it doesn't have to be Marine Corps Junior RTC.
Right.
In fact, I would tell you that an Army Junior RTC would love the ability to compete in the Marine Corps League's program and to win the Marine Award, so they can say, we beat them. Or the Navy
sense.
or the Coast Guard. Same thing.
Yeah.
I see a real motivator there.
Yeah. I have just recently learned about the program. I'm new to the Marine Corps League and stuff as well, but I learned about it when I was in Oklahoma. They had their meeting there, and I was like, this is a fantastic program. The problem was I'd never heard of the program. I did 25 years. I had no clue. And then you look around at everybody else, and most people don't know about it. So we just got to get the word out. And this is one avenue, and hopefully I can get it out there.
Outstanding.
It's a great program.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah,
Thanks
this is
very much.
awesome. Awesome. Thanks for coming on. I got to do my outro real quick.
Okay.
To all you stay right. To all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA has some great resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on the chat icon. Any of those options will help put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. Christian cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. So please reach out for help. And if you're out there and not struggling, reach out to the buddies you served with. Ask them how they're doing. And if they need that helping hand, please give it to them. One last time, thank you very much. Truly appreciate it. To all the listeners, stay motivated. Change your socks.